Hello, hello.
Yo,
Yo, man. How's that fruit selling going?
good. You ready for this shit?
I'm super ready. Sounds like you're ready. I had to turn you down because you're fucking amped.
Yeah. I need you on your A game today.
Okay.
So
Okay. I'm pretty good. I feel fresh. I'm feeling good. We're gonna get the best coaching you could possibly get.
that's what I need.
Okay. All right. So you tell me. Give me a quick update info about yourself, league, race, and how you play, kind of.
So I'm Diamond 2, um, and I like to play macro. I don't really have a specific style
Sure.
per se. I just want to win.
Okay.
Um, so when I look at race report, I have I think like 67% with ZVZ, 55% or something with PVZ, and then a little under 50 for TVZ. But today we're actually going to be focusing on PVZ because
Mm.
I have a rivalry that's been going on since high school.
Okay. So
And
he's a Protoss player. Is he Cannon Rush?
Protoss player. No, he doesn't. We both started playing I played in Brood War, but we both started playing together in Wings, and I was like silver, gold, and he was masters.
Okay.
And slowly we both kind of like been on and off with the game,
Yeah.
and so we're kind of both back into it now, where he's still slightly better than me. I think he's probably like Diamond 1's low masters now.
Uh huh.
And I'm Diamond 3, so I'm within reach of beating him finally. As in, I'm not getting trolled anymore.
Okay. Yeah.
So
Sounds good.
I need to break that barrier and start trading games with him, because every best of three we play, like I think we played like 10 best of threes in the last couple weeks, and I've only won like 4 maps. So
Okay. So is one of the replays we're gonna go over then? One of the games you played against him.
yeah.
Okay. Perfect. So I can kind of see how
So
he plays too then.
yeah. So he plays old school. So like Colossus, Sentries, Immortals.
Okay.
Um,
Do you ever? How often do you use
he,
lurkers?
uh, I actually one of these games I do have lurkers. I don't think I used them correctly, but I did go lurkers on it.
Because if he's a ground
Um,
Protoss and you go lurker, that's probably the best thing you can do in Legacy of the Void. For like early game, if he's the kind of guy who does timings and shit.
yeah, I mean, for me, I get really uncomfortable when it goes into late game,
Yeah.
because at that point I feel like I'm just making random decisions and unit selection. And then if I go Broodlord, I kind of feel stuck in the middle of the map and not able to defend my outer bases. Um, which I guess lurkers work really well for that transition too. Um,
What did you hear yesterday when I talked about triangle defense?
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
With the, I was like
Like,
that kind of nails it perfectly.
yeah.
Mhm.
All right, so
Um,
yeah, I mean, I guess we can just jump into one. And we can start talking about it, and then you could, obviously feel free to ask me whatever questions you want to ask at any point in time. But
okay.
I would say, just out of what you've told me so far, the way he plays and the way what you're comfortable with, I think the best thing you can do is do like 3 base. You can still take like a fourth, but you could do 3 base Lurker Hydra, Roach Lurker Hydra, and just do timings with that, and then switch into like Hydra Ling Lurker, and just drop roaches altogether once you start having Lurker.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's lurkers are just.
I usually feel like I get stuck in mid game with like, in a way, I feel most comfortable in mid game, and then at the same time, I just feel like I transition too late, and before I know it, I'm like
No worries, dude.
facing storms and.
I got the perfect plan for you. Okay, this is basically what I'm gonna tell you. Like, just from everything that's just been said, I already have a plan for you. It's You're gonna open up with speedling opener just to make yourself feel safe. Everyone does. Like, I feel like gasless is really hard, and I would never really teach them a gasless if they're just not comfortable with certain things. So your opener will be a speedling opener into a roach horn, and then you will go into ling roach, minimal lings unless you get all in, and if you get all in, you can make a lot more, really early. But then once you go to roaches, you'll saturate 3 bases off of roaches. If you then get all in at that point, you're gonna go Roach-Ravager. If you don't get all in, you're gonna go into pure Roach Hydra for a little bit, and you're gonna then start going into Lurker. It will then turn into Roach Hydra Lurker. When your roaches start dying off, you replace it with Ling Hydra Lurker, and then the game will be over, like every time.
Okay.
So you have these like fallbacks where it's like if he all-ins here early, really early, you can make Lings. Like if we're talking he proxy gates you or something, and you know, if it's a mid-game all-in where it's like, let's say a 2-base Century Immortal all-in, where he just tries to like force hold you up and stuff like that, that's when you would just go Roach-Ravager. But if the game doesn't go into an all-in phase at either one of those points, you could easily go 3-base Lurker with Hydra and Roach, and then eventually just, like I said, you would stop making Roaches at that point and replace with Larva that's excess with Zergling. And things will be great.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because it sounds so logical when you say it, but then like once you're in game...
No, for sure, right?
Yeah. I find myself late game making banelings, and I'm like, what the heck?
Okay, yeah. All right, so I'm gonna give you my info just because makes it easy peasy. So you can go ahead and send me an ad, and then let me know what your name is in game too, because if it's not actually like Fruit Seller,
it's the same thing.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I'm looking in the Fs. What up, Panic?
Do I have to actually put the number thing too?
Yeah, you do. It's a identifier code. Okay. So I have free timer, foolish, feral Zerg.
It's Fruit Seller.
I don't see a Fruit Seller.
Okay, let me send that again then.
Well, it says you received a request, but I don't see a Fruit Seller. So your name might be different. Like just your battle tag or whatever, the way it's displayed.
Oh, my battle tag is Avon Barksdale.
There you go. Boom. Got you, bro. We're in now. There we go. Okay. Okay. All right. So do a what's it called? Do a watch with others thing. You know how it works. And then promote me to lobby host before we start, and then we'll be good to go, man. We're good to go.
So I actually have 2 replays. I don't know if you remember you did a replay analysis for me.
Yeah, I do. I don't remember exactly what happened in the game, but I do remember doing it.
I made banelings. You told me not to make banelings, pretty much.
Okay.
But I have 2 replays. So like, if we could go, like a lot of the early game stuff I did get from the replay analysis.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you see anything critical, of course, point it out here. One thing I will let you know that I'm working on myself that I know I need to work on is, and this has kind of been always my struggle with StarCraft, is I don't hockey units. I'm an F2 boy.
Okay.
So I'll usually get to like Diamond 3, and then as soon as I start to like get ready to break into Diamond 1, multi-prong just destroys me. And then I'll stop playing the game for a couple months after that.
Sure. Okay.
So I'm working on that, and I'm also working on camera hotkeys and injecting using those.
Nice. Yeah.
So I feel like those will make a big difference.
Yeah, I think you probably want to use control groups as well. If you can start making a habit out of it, only for the sense that I'm not saying you have to use multiple groups, even though I think it would be better over time. But just being able to use, especially if you use a camera hotkey, you go back to your base, and then you can double tap your control group, like if it's 1-1, just to double tap 1-1, and you're back on your camera of your army. You can't really select army, and go to the camera hotkey of select army with that. So you'd have to actually physically drag or click the minimap, which takes longer. It's easier to bounce back in macro than bounce back to your army if you just at least have everything on one control group and just double tap to go back and forth.
Yeah, I mean that's what I gotta get used to.
Yeah.
And then another thing on scouting, you reamed me pretty good on scouting in the replay analysis. You probably will here too. The replay analysis you did was with the same guy.
Yeah.
But to be fair, he does the same build every single time.
Sure.
So I do typically scout less here than I do on ladder.
Okay. And then, are just out of curiosity, just to refresh my memory, were you the game I was watching when you kept making Roach-Ravager Baneling?
Yep, that's me.
Okay. Yeah.
I moved away from that, and now I'm getting into like late game.
Sure.
But it's not feeling concrete to me. Like I feel like I'm just making random moves late game.
Okay. All right. So yeah, I mean, we'll see what you're doing, and all that. So far, you're fine. Things are looking great. Stack your minerals on the close patches. Do you know what that means when I say that?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, do that. Do that as much as you can. There's nothing like, because the thing is, there's nothing happening, so there's no reason to not do it if you're really trying to get as much of an edge as you can. So it's definitely important. Otherwise, overlord placement so far is good. You have the probe in your base. I love that you moved your overlord up to go, like, just because if you kind of stayed in fog, you really need to know that shit. So defensive scouting, you're on point. Like, you need to fucking move that overlord. A lot of people just sit it there and they're like, wait, what? There's cannons in the high ground in the lower part of my main. And then you're following it down too. This is perfect. Defensive scouting, good shit. Your opener, the only thing I can complain about is your non-stacking of your resources. Also, here's another one now too. I don't like that you only have 2 on gas, and you're sending drones to your natural. I do want, if you're gonna go for a speedling opener, and then go into, leave 1 on gas, which is what I'm recommending you do. Like, get speed, leave 1 on gas.
I saw his forge. Is that why I did that? If I remember.
Okay. All right, smart ass. No, I'm joking, dude. No. All right, no.
Would that be the right call if you do see a forge and no cannons?
No, it's so. If you see forge, honestly, I would say if you want to not get. Sorry, I'm laughing because chat's laughing now. If you wanted to like delay speed, you could actually. I'm not even kidding. You could rip off 2 or even 3 drones off gas. I think.
Yeah, I think what I do in this game is I saw that he has a forge and I saw there was no cannon here.
Sure.
He'd done this thing where he cannoned my 3rd base before, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna send the overlord to the 3rd because I want to get that early, and I'm not gonna make lings. And I think I just drone.
Yeah.
Keeping 2 on gas.
It does make sense though to like delay to actually delay your gas more now that you're not gonna, because if you're like, okay, well, if he like defensively makes cannons, I don't really want to make a bunch of speedlings, and if he's also gonna go cannons, he's probably not gonna be doing pressure, so that's totally fine. I would say the perfect response to this though would definitely be take a 3rd faster. There's no way he can punish you now. Like, don't stay close to it. Like, so basically just don't let him keep up with you longer than he could if he's going to 2-base turtle, because you could just 3-base and you could really quickly even possibly 4-base it, depending on what follows up the forge. If it's like a fucking Stargate and he's going straight into like voids and stuff like that, I'd be like, take a 4th as well while you're at it. Mine as well, because you can just spread your creep between your bases, guard yourself with queens, and nothing will happen to you. But yeah, I mean, we'll get there eventually, right? The only thing I would say that's important to look at with this forge is if when the next time you look at it, when you come back either with this overlord or if you were to make like 1 ling to go across the map, you just want to see if it's upgrading. Because if it is upgrading, it doesn't have to mean he's going to be turtly with it. It might mean he's going to go for like a +1 timing, which is totally different. But yeah, that core is super late. This is like... This literally looks like Nexus first into Forge, into a gate, then into a core. That's what if I was you and I was playing this game, that's what I would say. And then he makes a cannon. Yeah, that cannon, I would actually... So, seeing that cannon, I would say you actually could skip the Zergling phase now. Just because, like, now the fact that he's made that cannon and the fact that you see such a late core, no one's ever going to do a timing and prioritize the Forge before the core. This would make me think he might have wanted to try to cannon rush you, but then he's like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just going to expand. Like, I'm just going to... Like, yeah, I don't know. Like, he would have made the cannon fast if you were 12 pulling or something defensively. But since you went for a natural, he's like, gateway. Then I'll make a cannon.
You still get speed if you skip the Zergling phase?
I would get speed later. So if you want to just make this really easy to understand, really standard, really just repetitive, I would say you could get speed now. Just if you're not like, you know what, I might forget it later, I don't want to deal with that shit. Then you could get it now. But I think the perfect response to this would actually be just ripping off like 2 drones off gas as soon as you saw it, and then just literally don't even get speed. Just get a layer and go for a Roach Warren, and you just skip the Zergling phase, because there's 0 pressure that's going to come out of him now. 0. He's not going to be doing an adept timing. He's not going to be doing some weird, you know, prism pressure type shit. He's literally just going to sit there in his base at least for like the next 4 minutes, which is easily enough time for you to go to the Roach phase. And then once you go to Roach phase and you make the Hydrogen, you could then start Zergling speed to get ready to switch into Ling Hydra after you have Roaches. Because that would also let your larva just be pure drones right now. Like, you could have like 1 Zerglings out and pure drones, which would speed up your build too. I do like your third base timing though. This is solid. This is very on point, and I really like your Overlord over the top of it. That is also very good. Because now you're not going to get cannoned without knowing about it. But I'm not going to say, okay, yo, getting that Zergling speed is a massive mistake. It's still fine. You still have a lead because of how fast you took that third. I just think you could be greedier than you already are if you actually prioritized other things. You could get away with it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Nice. A lot of people struggle to put that Overlord on that cliff. Good job.
I've lost too many
Right.
Overlords to that cliff.
All right. One thing I'm going to say about your scouting too that I would like to see more of, or that I would like to be better. I don't mind that your first Overlord is chilling here on the cliff because with how late his core was, and how now important that Forge is, I don't mind that you left your Overlord here. His tech is super late, and there's a chance he might have used that Forge for an upgrade. And also now you see he's going Cannon Battery. This is such a defensive turtley Protoss. What I would say though is I always want you to try to send your second Overlord towards his base, which is not even being attempted right now. Like send another Overlord out to his base, maybe like either your third or your second Overlord. I also don't mind if your second Overlord would have gone to your third base to guard it, like we just talked about, that'd be totally fine. But send your third Overlord then to his base. Just some Overlord, either your second or third, needs to go to his base so that you have a backup scout. Because you do want to know where his other pylon is and what he's going to do here. Because if you don't know that it's going to be a Robo or a Stargate, it changes shit drastically. For instance, if you knew it was a Stargate, you could be like, all right, cool. I'm going to not make... I might still make the Roach Warren, but I'm not going to make a bunch of Roaches for now. I'll just make Drones and Queens. Because why else would I need Roaches right now? I need to saturate my base more, and that's fine. But let's say now instead he goes for a Robo and you see like Immortals and Sentries being made. Well, then I wouldn't say you need to prioritize making like 10 Queens or 8 Queens or something. You need to prioritize, making Roaches and Ravagers and maybe, worry more about that instead because you're about to get hit by a timing. That kind of stuff. So like just knowing what tech he has gives you a lot of information about like what the probable timing is going to be that's going to follow this up. I'm surprised he's going Robo. That's all I can say. The fact that he is going Robo in this does make me think like what you said earlier, like it's going to probably be more Colossus and not heavy and Immortal because it's very turtley what he's doing. It's super turtley. He's literally sacrificing all map control to have 2 bases.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't usually do this. This is a little bit of mind games because I linked all of them. He still held it in 1, so the next game he kind of is going a little bit more turtley.
This should feel really good.
This is weird because it's not ladder, right? So like I'm having all these like mind games being played between our games.
Sure.
Which is so much harder.
No, for sure. It also kind of opens your mind up, though, to how you can abuse it. And the one thing that can abuse this is that he doesn't give a fuck about what you do with the map. He only cares about what he does with his 2 bases on the map for like probably the first 6 minutes of the game. So if you recognize this and you react to it as fast as possible and you just crank drones like crazy, and like again, that third base timing early was very good. Now it needs to be followed up with just droning. Like you already are accomplishing that so far, but just keep it going because there's nothing you can do to stop that. And then yeah, like again, just having Queens or not having Queens is a big deal. Okay, your gas at your natural are too early.
So let me explain the thought process here. It's still probably too early now that I see it. There's only 9 drones there, but so I know he goes Robo. I didn't scout it, but I expect it now because that's what he does every game.
Sure.
So I thought his core is late, and attack is probably going to be coming late. This lets me skip both Ling and Roach phase and go straight into Muta.
That's super
my
super scary.
To
Holy fuck, dude. Okay, keep going.
So I'm literally droning and getting ready to make Muta. That's why I'm like building S3 axis.
Okay. The one thing that's scary about that is if he were to have gone Stargate right away, you would just be hard countering yourself right off the bat. And then the other one is if he's going for Robo instead, and he were to use a Warp Prism, he would still be able to have a timing in your base before you have Mutas. Mutas are so fucking like they're very late compared to your traditional like Stargate Robo openers. Like the Mutas Aspire just takes forever. Once it's out, though, suddenly the game just shifts into your favor. If he's not already having a bunch of Phoenix, you're like, wow, okay. Well, if now he's got like Sentries and Immortals and Zealots or some shit, I just win the game. I mean, that'd be nice, right? But it's scary as hell. If you were gonna rush a Spire, I would say it would have made more sense if you actually skipped speed and rushed the layer, because you would already have a layer done now, and you would already have a Spire being started now. So it's every second that goes by, it's actually scary as fuck for you, because if he hits you before your mutas are out, you're dead, because your drones will just die. All of your drones will die. And even if you kill his whole army, if he kills all of your drones in the time you kill his army, then like let's say now he's got 44 probes and you only have 8 drones, because you're just like trying to recover as they die, but you've literally lost them all. He could just be like, all right, I'll make 1 round of stalkers and like start like 3 photon cannons in my base, and suddenly I can't die. Like to like 8 mutas or 10 mutas, whatever you would have at that point. So it's just scary for you to just rush mutas like that. I don't think going Spire against Protoss is bad, but I think you do always need to at least make a Roach Warren, because the Roach Warren itself doesn't cost gas. So if you did want to go for more of a gas heavy build, like Lurkers or even a Spire or something like that, just having the Warren allows you to be able to make Roaches if you need them, and then immediately turn them into Ravagers if you need them, which that in itself can hold like 90% of Protoss all-ins that happen early game, and like within the first 8 minutes of the game. Roach-Ravager is so good early game against Protoss if they all-in you. And when I say that, do you know why it's good, or would you like me to explain it really fast?
Against Protoss specifically?
Yes.
No.
Okay.
Not, I mean,
no worries. Yeah. And I just want to make sure you understand why. I don't want to just say it's good and just move on. I want to make sure you understand why.
Because it's cheap and you make a lot more of them than what the Protoss can, in terms of like amount of units. That's what I would guess.
The big one is if the Protoss goes for Stargate, it's really easy to shut down Protoss with Queens. So Stargate isn't really that much of an issue, because again, Queens can just shit on it, and especially if it's only 2 base. But if it's anything else, if it's Charge Lots, if it's Adepts with Resonant Glaives, if it's Blink Stalkers, if it's Sentries, if it's fucking Immortals, if it's anything like this, early game, Roach-Ravager can constantly push forward into it, Corrosive Bile backing up from it, and you can make the game last longer. If the Protoss...
Because it just buys time.
It buys time, exactly. If the Protoss pushes into it, and he's like, I'm going to walk into Corrosive Biles, the game's over, you just win. If the Protoss is like, oh, Corrosive Biles, shit, let's go this way. Oh, Corrosive Biles, let's go that way. Corrosive Biles, let's go this way. The Corrosive Biles, you should never have an opening where there's not Corrosive Biles, because you should never be if you have 10 Ravagers, you shouldn't go 10 Biles in 1 second all at once. You should be like, Bile, like literally one a second.
That makes a huge difference, by the way.
No, it does, because
I won so many games after that trick.
It's amazing, because he can't ever... It's like literally like you play Mario, and it's like the block smashes once every 10 seconds, or it smashes repeatedly, and Mario just gets fucking squished every time he walks into the fucking door, you know what I mean? Like, it's you don't give them an opening to just not take damage. They always take damage if they commit. And if they don't commit, and they just keep going, okay, fuck, I'll wait. He's 2 base elevating you, you're 3 base defending. So every second that goes by, your supply should ramp faster, higher, and suddenly it gets to a point where you have so much that you could then push forward and kill him. So Roach-Ravager, and that's just how it goes against so many things that Protoss can do, and Roach-Ravager just creates situations like that where it always forces Protoss to wait or die. And that's, and then again, all you have to do is make the Roach Warren, and then if you're like, wow, he's going Stargate, or he's doing something that... He's going literally, I'm in his base with an Overseer, and he's made a Colossus. There's a Robo Bay, and a fucking Colossus just popped out of it. I don't really want to go Roach-Ravager anymore. I already have a Spire that's like 80% of the way done. I could easily go Mutas here. Then that's a different story. You could skip Roach-Ravager then, but you still have the Roach Warren if you ever needed it. So it's always important to make it against Protoss, like every game, no matter what. Because it also shuts down lots of pressures. It shuts down DT pressure super easy. It shuts down Archon pressure. It shuts down like all-ins and pressures alike. It's just very, very, very good.
Makes sense.
All right, your creep too close, I would say. Never, just a quick tip, never put your tumors together like this, especially the early ones. It's even more, the earlier in the game it is, the more critical your creep tumors are. And I would say you would have been better off. The way your creep should have spread there perfectly, in my opinion, would have been the tumor you just threw down could have been an optional tumor to either connect your natural to your main or extend forward from your third base outwards towards like the right a little bit, like that area. Just start going that direction, just to get like a good vision net around your third base. And the first tumor you made from the tumor that is already there, and you just made tumor go further forward, that should have been like the tumor that spread itself. It should have spread from where it is now towards maybe where the queen is, like a little bit north of the queen, so that you could have connected your bases from your natural to your third with creep, and then you could have sent it down after that. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Like, yeah, you just want to connect your bases, and you want to make sure your tumors are spread the fuck out at early game. Once you get like 15 or 20 tumors on the map, then if you have tumors this close together, it's fine. But never stack your tumors like this ever. Because what you just effectively did now is you combined tumors at your natural, so you're gonna have 2 tumors. Let me. This actually will probably make a lot of sense if I explain it this way. The radius of a circle of a tumor spreads slower than the tumor's cooldown can spread again. So you always, if you're playing really efficient and you're always hitting the cooldown, you will always be spawning creep because it will still spread while the tumor is building. And then when the tumor finishes, it will double spread for the first tumor's radius that's overlapped. And then it will single spread for the new tumor's radius that is by itself. And it will literally, a pixel of creep will never stop spawning ever if you maximize that. But if you stack tumors like this, not only do you have less range of your base to be covered, but 2 tumors tightly close like this that are both finishing at the same time, they will spawn creep so fast that you will stop spawning pixels of creep before the cooldown's ready. So you'll actually have like 3 seconds out of 11 where your creep doesn't spread at all. And it just sits there because, again, each little tumor represents a circle around it, and that is its spread radius. And that shit stacks with other tumors if they're within the same spread radius. And these are really close, so their spread radius is very tightly together. So yeah, you're going to have like creep just being idle, which is never what you want either. You want it to be always spreading.
Yeah, I'm sure you're going to
Oh.
my late game spread.
Okay, so I'm going to love that shit. It's going to be great. Alright, and then, so now you're making a bunch of lings.
He does this little warp prism thing. That's what I made.
Sure.
I saw that coming when the Overlord on the cliff
died
was being attacked.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is one of those moments too where I would just say I would like roaches more here as well, because you could make I'm not saying that you made a lot of lings and larvae. You actually have made a kind of a small amount, but lings as well. You could have been fucked over super hard if you would have just force fielded your lings out and then used the prism as a warp-in like point, and then
yeah, for zealots or
yeah,
or whatever.
Yeah, and then he shoots your lings over the wall, so you either have to back up or let your lings die against it. And then when the wall comes down, he has an army that's just bigger now. And then also +1 zealots. If he did get +1, which he's about to have, and he does make zealots, and your lings are fighting that, your lings are gonna trade fucking awful, because a zealot with +1 2 shots a ling instead of 3 shots a ling. So zealots trade amazing against zerglings once they get a weapon upgrade. So it's just, I would say it's just risky that you're making lings here as defense at this point in the game. This definitely needs to be roaches, and we're talking like it could be 8 roaches and you're done, and that's it. And then if you went full on all in with it, you could then make more roaches or more lings with it too. Another problem is your queens all chase the prism, and you're not injecting anything right now. Make sure you don't miss out on this. This is critical. You're also not spinning your larva. I mean, I guess you're saving for Aspire, your mutas, because it's almost done. But it's actually worth... So here's the thing, though. It's actually better to constantly spin your larva if there is nothing that is going to kill you otherwise. And if you just spent your larva, I would say there's nothing you should be afraid of right now. Because all that's happening right now is you're missing larva. It's like basically saying, you know what? Spire's almost done. It's going to be done in the next 15 seconds or 18 seconds or whatever, and there's a prism in my base. I'm going to poke that with queens. Your queens literally forced it away anyways. And then you are now saving larva for, like, to make mutas, is what I would assume. but you're missing it's so much larva by not injecting and letting your larva cap on the hatcheries that if you just made lings and overlords here, or roaches and overlords here, you could then have just as much larva again to then be able to spend your money on mutas before it became before you were gonna die essentially. Like you would still hit a good timing with mutas, but you would have so much more of a ground army to complement it and support it. But if you just save your larva, it's gonna create this weird situation where you're just gonna, it's like literally throwing larva away. The trade-off is like your mutas are like the difference in time of mutas is maybe like 8 to 10 seconds, either faster or slower. But then also like 30 supply of ground units. Like, so if it's 8 seconds faster on the mutas, you missed out on like the 30 supply of ground units. If it's 8 seconds slower on the mutas, you have suddenly 30 supply of ground units because you then would be injecting your bases because you wouldn't feel so paranoid about the prism in your base, ideally, because you'd have an army to absorb it. And then you wouldn't have larva sitting there that's capped out already that is stopping also automated larva generation. There's so much larva you're missing right now.
Yeah, I mean, there was no real plan here. I thought I was chasing it with the creep queens, but because I have them hotkeyed to 2.
Yeah.
So that was the goal, was just 10 them, but I didn't know I wasn't paying attention to my other queens either.
Yeah, for sure. It's like stuff like this though it's like the distracting aspect of the game, and you just got to make sure that you always. This is the macro aspect. You got to make sure you always keep on top of it because it'll fuck you over so bad. These are the ways you fall behind as Zerg. And then now that you actually have a Spire, if you're gonna go Muta, always get weapon upgrades like the second the Spire is done. I wouldn't recommend going Spire. We can talk about this. I'll speed it up a little bit now, but
do I do it? I think I do it.
Like,
let's wait for it.
Mutas at this point in the game are it's just rippy as fuck. Yeah. You got weapons dice. Good job, bro. I would say don't do this build anymore for now.
Okay.
It's
at least I got the +1.
Yeah, we can move forward. Like we'll talk about it a little bit, but this is why I would say don't do this. Okay, look at your money right now. This is gonna happen every time. You're doing a build right now that is very, very high level for Zerg because you have to know you have to have game sense and as to what your opponent is probably going for to make this even make sense in the first place. Otherwise, it's literally like rolling the dice, going, "I hope we're not going to die to Phoenix right now, hopefully," and because if he did make Phoenix, you've already lost the game. If you just fly into his base with just you base your whole build on I'm going to rush mutas and I'm going to not spin my larva properly. I'm not going to have anything besides mutas, and then when mutas go there, they all get caught by like 8 Phoenix, and you're like, oh, fuck me. And you just die. That's what would happen if he did that, if he decided to go for that tech. So it's risky. So there's a game sense aspect to it where you have to know it's appropriate time to do it. Then on top of that, the bigger aspect of it is you have to be very active with these mutas, which means you have to keep him constantly chasing you and doing damage whenever you can. If he
less time to macro too.
Exactly. It's gonna constrain your time to not be able to do what you need to do. So you're gonna have to be able to multitask, not throwing your mutas away, while also making him feel pressured because you keep killing shit of his, while you macro and you just like crank out a big army yourself. Either it be more mutas or something else. It's very hard to do this though. It's not an easy thing to do, and you can see like right now, you flew into his base, you've already lost a few mutas. And then you're flying another like 7 mutas over the top of his army, whereas cannons and stalkers and stuff are. Yeah, and then also I would say the fact that he has cannons everywhere means he knew you were going to do this, and this is not ideal either for mutas. He has cannon battery spread out.
Prism, I think,
flew
over it when he was harassing.
Exactly. So he also opened Forge too. You got to keep that in mind as well, right? He opened Forge, which means he already had access to cannons, and he already made cannons in his natural before he even started to layer. So going into mutas now is, like, I wouldn't mind going mutas as much if you actually just took a better economy then went muta, but rushing muta against someone who's already playing defensive doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It just makes your mutas do what they're doing now, which is fly into his base, take some fucking damage, lose some mutas, fly out and go, well, what's the plan now? Like, what are we doing now? And if you're gonna make more mutas,
I'm not. I saw that immediately, so I'm going heavy into drones. I don't know what those queens are doing. I just noticed them.
Yeah, it's all good.
Walking across the map.
It's all. It's just mistakes that are happening because the game. You're playing at a game that is higher than your multitasking capability, so mistakes are going to happen.
I've switched into hydras and veins.
Yeah. That's
Nice.
I would not recommend that either. Hydras are okay. I would definitely recommend Lurker. Banes are shit though because Colossus Sentry is just gonna be like wall dead, wall dead. Like you're gonna get no connections versus someone who just force fields. Yeah, I think the Lurker idea for you is gonna be so easy. A Lurker composition would destroy him right now, and it's not hard to use. It's you literally just put it in the right spot and you just plant it and you wait. And if he doesn't push, you move forward, plant it, wait. You just repeat that process. And then if it puts pressure on him too, where if he ever overcommits an observer and it just happens to die, then he 100% has to leave because Lurkers are just gonna kill everything. So there's not a whole lot I feel like I can tell you here that's gonna be good because you're basically trying to counter a pair of scissors with a piece of paper. It's the same. This is literally the same thing you did last time, where I was like, "Fuck, dude!" Like your army just sucks ass versus what you're fighting. Like I honestly, it's like
it makes sense.
Yeah.
It's funny too because if you keep going for a second, I take out his army, but I trade all of my units for it.
And the only way that would work, is if he
He's
does
not
not force field.
He doesn't force field. He wasn't looking because he thought he took everything out. So at this point here, I'm taking out the Templar too. I have Corruptors because I'm planning to transition into Broodlords, Hydro Broodlord. I have a giant ass bank, so I'm actually feeling like kind of confident in this. Like at this point, I have a Lurker then too. I don't know if it's false confidence. Probably is.
No. With the way that happened, you got lucky as hell. The fact that he just let everything die. Like I would say, you overcommitted really hard at the end there, though. Like when you just kept diving through storm after storm after storm. You actually won that fight really well, and you threw your advantage away a little too much, I would say, because the best thing you could have done.
I thought it was worth it for those Templars.
I don't think it was. I think you could have definitely microed it better than that. You could have like not A-moved it. You could have just flew over the top of him and done it and like A-move, like attack, move before your mutas even shoot. So they literally shoot the shot as they start keeping momentum. They get out of storms way faster, but the way you microed it was you just let it A-move. So the mutas would always come to a stop as they shoot, and then they restart momentum, and then they come to a stop as they shoot, which means they sit in the and he stormed you like 4 times doing this. So you sat in so many storms because if we back it up, look how many mutas you have when this goes down. So right now it's happening. You have 12 mutas. You ended that with like 5 or something, or 6. So you lost a shitload of muta to the storm. And right now as well, what if your mutas decided to, like, let's just say you were going to keep going muta, okay? Let's say you were going to keep going muta. And again, I don't really think the Corruptor makes a whole lot of sense either here. Even though he had Colossus, mutas make more sense if you're killing non-air armies. Because the whole point then would be overpower his anti-air, and Colossus don't matter at all. Like the Colossus, you're investing into Corruptor to kill the Colossus, which is the only thing they're serving a purpose for. But if you just had enough muta to really overpower the Stalker really fast, you would easily then overpower the Colossus, and then you would have a lot more counter pressure on him. Because if you add more muta here, and you don't throw your mutas away that you already have, imagine flying over to his base with like 20 mutas now, and going into his natural, wiping out, like after you just killed his army, now you wipe out a couple cannons, kill some probes. He comes over there, you leave, you go to his base right north of that, and you kill a couple cannons, you wipe out a bunch of probes. You like hold position over the mineral line. And you just reset his economy as well, while you keep making mutas on a good economy yourself. That would be how you should play mutas. But the fact that you're going Corruptor, and if you're going to go into, you said Broodlord now?
That's the like, I'm going Hive.
Yeah.
So
you
in my head, I'm trying to go for Lurker upgrades and then into Broodlord.
You can still go Broodlord, but like the whole Spire Muta thing doesn't make like it's basically 2 totally different fucking builds. If you're gonna go for Broodlord, don't go Muta. Like it's the only reason why it would ever make sense to go Muta is and then go into Broodlord would be because you saw an opening to make mutas good, like a good way to use them. And then for whatever reason, he countered you and he just stopped dying to mutas. And then the game turned into like this fucking Death Ball Eternal phase where you kept trying to go mutas, but you couldn't get it done. And then, so you committed to the muta phase as much as you could. It ended up not winning the game, but it put you in a point where now you decided, okay, now I kind of need to transition to a better army because mutas aren't working anymore, so I'm going to stop making them. That's like the only time that kind of transition would ever make sense. But if you just open muta, and then but while you have muta control, you just start going Broodlord and Corruptor, it doesn't make any sense because you should commit to the mutas as much as you can if you already are committing to it. Because it's like, it's such a fucking heavy commitment as it is. It's not something you could just commit into and be like, you know, fuck it, I'm going to something else, now I'm going to something else. Because really good players are going to just shit on you if you do that. Because what's happening is you're foregoing all type of pressure you can put on him by doing this. You're not pressuring him at all with mutas. So he's allowed to do whatever he wants. And if he scouts you're switching to Broodlords, he can do that with a full economy and he can react to it properly. However, if your mutas actually pressured him, he would not have a full economy because you would be pressuring it with mutas.
So if I'm doing the Roach into Hydra going into Lurkers, is it reasonable to say at this point, 12 minutes in the game, I would be at Blue Lords with Hydra Lurker?
No. For the way that I play it, yes, because I go for transitions really fast. But the way that I want you to play it, no, because you were even saying at the start of this how you're like uncomfortable with Broodlord, like map control, which is, it does require things like a really nice creep spread and vision of the map for that to work. That way you're not moving around blindly. Just be like, I hope he's here. Oh shit, he's hitting my 4th base. I'm in the middle of the map. I gotta go back. Like that needs to not happen. That kind of shit needs to not happen. You have to have a good creep spread. So if what I'm going to recommend you to do is you literally stay on Lurker style until the game is basically over for most of your games, just to get used to it, because it's very strong. And even at my level, at, you know, if I play a 5500 Protoss or something, I could win many of my games if I just stuck to Lurkers all game. Like it's actually very doable.
He always does a late game Stargate transition like he's doing now with the Void Race.
Sure.
I would build Corruptors and Viper with Hydras at that point, or
if you're doing what I'm telling you to do,
continue to make Hydra Lurker. Yeah.
On it, no. You would just make. If you wanted to make a spellcaster, I think that would be okay. It's gonna be. No, don't even do that, dude. You're Diamond 2. You don't even need spellcasters. you honestly, you got to realize this, okay? He's not gonna have 5 bases at 12 minutes if you play it this way. He's not gonna have the ability to tech swap. If he loses an army, if he goes for like this fat fucking Colossus Sentry Stalker army, and then you have Lurkers and you shut it down, he's not going to be like, you know what, I'm going to remake that and also switch to Sky Toss. He's not going to have that kind of money. He's going to...
So he'll stay on the same army.
He has to, or because here's the thing, if he's like, you know, I am going to switch tech, you're going to have a 200 supply army and he's going to have 110 and you're just going to run him over and kill him. It's going to be like, oh, look at 5 Void Rays. I have 40 Hydras. Okay, I win. Like, game's over. Or if he's, you know, if he's like, I got to rebuild what I have. If you take a good fight with Lurker, he could have a respectable number to what you have, but you should always max faster because it's just how Hydra Zerg is. It's cheaper, higher supply. So you could have a 200 supply army versus him playing standard, the ground style still, and remaking it again and again. You'll have 200 supply. He might have like 160 if the game is going at a fast pace where you guys are not having 5,000 minerals in the bank. Like it's... And then as long as you pressure with Lurker and get hive tech upgrades for that, you could totally just kill him with that. Because Lurkers have more range than Colossus. The only thing that'll be hard for you to deal with is if he goes into Disruptors on the ground, and then you start having the micro against Disruptors. Because again, that requires more micro, and is definitely advanced above Diamond 2. Because you're going to have to predict where the Disruptor shots are going, and not uproot all Lurkers, but instead uproot maybe just like where they're going to get hit and then move them away. And then as soon as it expires, you move them back, burrow them again. That's how that goes against Disruptors. And then you continuously leapfrog, shove into his army. You don't want to select all army, go, everything run away from Disruptor shots. Okay, now everything move back because then you lose all ground you just, just controlled there for... Like, controlling ground is important here. And losing ground is, just because you're running away from one Disruptor shot with a 200 supply army is definitely a waste. So that is the only thing I would say you're going to have a hard time against. Everything else, Colossus, Sentry, Stalker, Storm, whatever, anything on the ground besides the Disruptor is going to be easy as fuck to deal with. But yeah, you're making the game way more complicated than it has to be. If you're like, I'm going to go hybrid Spire Hydra compositions with Hydra, Corruptor, and now also Viper, then I'm going to get Lurker too. Like, it's like basically teaching fucking rocket science to like a fucking third grader, and you're like, all right, relax, just work on, like, we'll get there eventually, all right? Well, when you become a stronger player, you can start thinking about more technical shit. But right now, literally, it's honestly like you're diversifying yourself way too much, way too often. But yeah, like again, talking about this like we talked about earlier, you threw away way too many mutas. I would have loved to have seen harassment now, because now again, zero pressure goes onto his base. I guarantee you're gonna fly back, go home. You're gonna sit there for a little bit, and you're not gonna do anything. And his supply is gonna stay near yours. Watch this. Like this is what needs to not happen. If you're gonna go for a muta style, you need to pressure him. He's actually okay. There you go. You made a round of units, but there's zero pressure. He's mining happily on every base. This is not how you play muta style.
Yeah, I mean, I'm done with muta.
No, I know that, but the fact that you went into muta style means that you have now made the game harder for yourself, because you had to do that. You can't commit to something and then not do it and then go to something else, because now it'd be like saying, like you might as well have just started the game with like 6 drones instead of 12, because you're going to do something really inefficient and then try to then switch into a good thing, or like something else at that point. Like you've created a situation for yourself where you've allowed the Protoss to be rich. And now lurkers are not as good either. Like now, actually, Death Ball, it kind of needs to happen. The whole point of Lurker and Muta is you need to control the Protoss. Both of these styles do it. Lurkers are easier, though, which is why I'm telling you to do that. Mutas are way fucking harder to do. But if you don't stop the Protoss from having 5 base economy with 83 probes, he's got way more probes than you have drones right now. If you don't stop that from happening, you're going to get fucked every game and be like, why the hell am I losing? Like, how is this happening? It's just going to happen every time. Because the point of mutas is you literally kill as many probes as you can. The lower that probe number is, the better you're doing. That's how you want to do it. And then if the Protoss is like, you know what, fuck this, I'm base trading. Well, you base trade, and you just go for lings and mutas in his base, kill his base. That's proper muta ling bane, or proper muta style. Not really banes. Proper muta style. And you can make lings with it too. Proper lurker style is, it's not about killing his probes, but it's about keeping him controlled and not letting him have new bases. So you're probably not going to be able to stop him from having 3 bases most of the time, but you should never let him have a 4th, never let him have a 5th, never let him have a 6th, anything. Never let him have new bases, so that by the time the game really gets controlled, like we're saying, let's just say right now, you've been doing lurker trades all game, and you have still at this point kept him on 3 bases, and you're on maybe 4 or 5. Look at his main base. It's almost mined out. Look at his natural. It's almost mined out. If you were playing lurker style properly from the beginning of the game and you just never let him take new bases, and you, best case scenario, you literally kill him. Worst case scenario, but still what you ideally are going for, is you don't kill him, but you don't let him take new bases, because it's hard for him to, again, take control of the ground, because lurkers outrange everything Protoss has aside from disruptors, but lurkers can out micro disruptors if you just rotate them around to avoid disruptor shots. Because of the whole super fast burrow of hive tech lurker upgrades. Like, you can totally avoid disruptor shots if you're paying attention. But again, you would just not let him have new economy. So his economy would not be 2,900 minerals right now and 1,300 gas. It would be something like 1,400 minerals right now. And like, still the gas would be probably like 800 or something, because he would be on 3 bases still. And he would be almost mining out on some of it. So it would continue to go down, not up. So every time he tries to take a fight, if you're taking cost-efficient fights because you're playing it well, he just falls further and further behind and never gets to rebuild an army, and he's progressively dies. Like, you're winning the game indirectly by killing his economy, by not letting him have more of it, rather than physically killing his bases. Just because you're denying bases at that point.
You mean what he's doing to me, pretty much?
Yeah, kind of. Like, you have a lot of economy too, so this game still could go either way. But your biggest problem though is you don't have any drones. Like 65 is a terrible number. That should feel really bad at max supply.
Yeah.
And the fact that you have a big bank should feel even worse. Like, it should feel. I don't want to make you feel bad, but
no, that's what I need.
Yeah, the fact that you have.
I mean, if you look at my vision, like if you go to my vision, I don't even know that he has like
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's
yeah.
just whatever
That's
however
fine.
many bases he has too.
It's just that you have a massive bank and you also don't have a lot of drones. So you're honestly you're having these like massive fucking like waves of nothing going on in macro, and then followed by like I'm gonna make 30 units at once. Okay, now I'm gonna do nothing for a while again. So you're definitely like, you can look at your larva again right now. You have 24 larvae. You are almost maxed, but you have 24 larvae that, again, it just goes to show that the fact that you aren't maxed and you have 24 larvae again is showing you that you don't make units very often. And you have no units in production other than a couple overlords, which you're maxed on already. Like I would say your larva probably early game gets spent often, but then once you get to like the later stages where you start trying to use units, you just neglect the larva for massive, like minutes at a time. Yeah, the spines are nice at the bases. You are obsessed with banelings. Stop fucking making this unit. Literally, don't even make this building anymore against Protoss.
Okay.
My God, dude. Like,
So I always go to banelings because I always have this like stupid mineral gas imbalance at the end of the game, and then like in my head, I don't have enough gas to really go any late game units. So it's like I turn to Banes or Ravagers. If I'm going Roach style.
I'm gonna say Ravagers and Banes are both they're both early game units. You don't want to be making either one of those things late game ever. Like especially against Protoss. All that's gonna do is like it's basically you're going to work, you're making a lot of money, and then you just light it, fucking put gasoline all over it, and you just light it on fire, and you're like, yeah, it was a good day, had a good time. Now let's see what happens. And what I'm gonna see is I'm gonna give you one word here to describe your army, and the word is redundancy. Your lurkers do everything that banelings do, but they do it like 3 times better or like 4 times better.
So those could all that gas could have just gone into more lurkers.
Honestly, yeah. If you really wanted to make a fucking lot, like a big dick of ground AOE, but more lurkers would have been better. The fucking banelings are awful, dude. That's so much gas. That's just like let's see what it accomplishes. And the fact also that he has Sky Toss, that's even worse. Like you obviously, at this point now, again, the goal with Lurker style would be don't let him get here. Don't let him have 5 bases in Sky Toss transition, because that's what you should be doing with Lurkers, is denying the 4th forever, so that he can't actually just afford this. But if he does have voids, less Lurker, more Hydra would be better, and maybe a Spellcaster. Maybe. If you really want to try it, you can. Like an Infestor or a Viper. But Banelings and Zerglings here, like what you should be doing with your Zerglings right now, fucking do a run by. Baneling shouldn't even exist at this point in your army. I don't mind that you have Zerglings either, by the way. Zerglings are shit though in your main army. Like you should definitely not have them as part of your death ball. You should have them as harassment purposes. They should honestly be like killing the bot. Like what if you went to his bottom left base with the Zerglings right now? You'd kill a base. What if you went to the bottom middle base that's got 3 cannons and 2 pylons? You would kill that base. You would successfully put him back on 4 bases with just your Zerglings if you did a run by, and they would be super fast at how quickly that base would die, because you have level 2 melee lings and you have 49 of them, which is enough to fully surround a nexus easily. Yeah, you could totally kill those bases. And now let's watch what your Lingbane does. I imagine you're probably going to pressure the stalkers really well, but you have 6 mutas. You have how many corruptors do you have? Sorry, you have 6 muta, 6 corruptor against 6 voids and a couple temp. Like both your guys' armies honestly look kind of fucked up. like for real. All right, let's just watch this fight, dude. I like how you're rotating the lurkers forward a little bit. That's what you need to do. See that shit though? Like, that's what the concept, the logic you just did there is what you need to do all game if you're gonna go lurker style. All game.
Okay.
You just leapfrog, shove. You don't run everything into his face in melee range and burrow it. You just burrow at a safe distance and you leapfrog, 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 and you just literally go like it's like a fucking steamroller that just pushes a base over for you. Because if he engages it, then you engage with your army to guard the Lurker, and if he runs away from it, you back up to your Lurker. You just guard Lurker, and let Lurkers literally steamroll the base over time, and you will never let him have an economy if you play that way. This is a good example, seriously. This is how it needs to happen with Lurker. I'm glad that you guys actually didn't clash there, because that is perfect. And if you just backed up right now and did the same thing at another base, like both your army comps are fucking weird, but if you just literally went to the
this is peak Diamond performance.
Yeah, man. If you went to like the left side of the map now and did the same thing, you could actually cripple him and starve him out. And then when you do shit like this, if the Protoss continuously tries to take bases on the other side of the map, where he's like, okay, Zerg is steamrolling the left side with Lurkers, I'm going to take expansions on the right side. That's the perfect time to just send some lings. Exactly. All right, and then okay, I'm gonna watch this fight, and then after this fight, honestly, I would say let's go into a new game, and I'll like I can fast forward to the end, but this game is kind of like
you can just it's too far gone.
Yeah, it's just like it's becoming just like chaotic and messy. But I just want to show I just want to see the efficiency of the Banes and the Zerglings here in the actual fight when he now once again has Colossus. Because again, Colossus suck against Lurkers, but they're so good against Lingbane. So he blinks forward, you burrow, and you fuck him up pretty bad. He almost killed a Lurker, and you killed like 6 Stalkers there, or 5 Stalkers, and you weakened a lot of them. That was great. That was perfect. That's the power of Lurker once you have hive upgrades, you can just insta-burrow, and shit gets real. But now watch your Banes and your Lings. Like, your whole Ling Bane army died, and I think it might have killed like a couple Stalkers in the front. Like, everything died. And that was like, look at your supply now. That was a massive chunk of your army. That was just literally, it was already being countered by what he was doing. He's got double sets of AoE versus mass squishy little low hit point units. And then now you also you straight up ate the AoE as well, the Storm specifically, with all of your Muta Corruptor. So you are actually winning this fight a little bit. If you use the Archon though, he's fine. Okay, there you go, the Archons are up. Like, that was a full reset for you. That sucked pretty bad. And now because you've made so many Banes and stuff like that, and your comp is just awkward, your gas is non-existent, so now the only option you do have is actually Zerglings. Like, it's just, you actually want to have a bank. You shouldn't feel bad about having a bank as long as you're maxed. It feels good, actually. You shouldn't be like, well, I need to deplete it more. So if I can do a run-by with Adrenal Gland Lings, you know what? Fuck it. Let's make Banes. Don't fucking do that. It's actually, it feels good to be like, I have 4,000 gas to work with here, and Protoss only has 1,200. Because when we actually do fight, if we both dip in supply pretty heavily, I can remax and still have a bank to work with. Protoss is like scraping the bottom of the barrel, trying to get any gas that he can because he's out. That should feel good. But that's happening to you now because you're just being...
I'm literally just going to skip the Bane this
time. Don't fucking... Exactly. Just stop making Banes against Protoss. You want to know the only time it's actually going to make Banes against Protoss? Literally. It's only going to make Banes against Protoss if you are going to do Lingbane Hydra all-ins. If that's going to be your playstyle, is just I'm going to go Lingbane Hydra. I'm going to do really heavy aggressive Lingbane Hydra control builds where I just keep literally just dumping the pressure onto Protoss. It's the only time you should do it. Ever. In Legacy of the Void.
Yeah, I mean, that was kind of like, I guess, what I tried to transition. And it was dumb because you don't transition into it, but
yeah, that's also an early game build.
When the Muta failed, that was my thinking. It's like, I need to go into Bane Hydra.
You're like doing 5 builds at the same time. You're like, you know what? Yeah. I'm going to do fucking Muta build, but then I'm also go Corrupt Broodlord, but then I'm also going to go Lingbane Hydra, but I also want some Lurkers. You're doing everything. Like, just, again, stop diversifying so hard in your army. And then you're also talking about, like, should I get some Corruptor Viper now vibe? Like, no, bro, what the fuck?
Don't forget Broodlords, too.
Yeah, like, it's too technical. It's too diverse. It could be cleaned up so much. And, yeah, I'm just going to ×8 this to the end of the game here just to, I guess, to watch it, just to see the end.
Yeah, I mean, I just pretty much run out of gas.
That's what should happen. You have Lurkers burrowing. He has Stalker, Archon, Colossus. He kills a lot of your Lurker. You kill his Colossus, but once again... Oh, you know what? I'm not going to lie. You actually have the game won right now. With what just happened. Like, he's actually... dipped in... Like, the thing is he also keeps making mass Stalkers against Lurkers, which is fucking terrible.
Yeah, I mean, the I just threw away all my Lurkers, and I stopped making Lurkers.
Yeah, no, I know.
So now I'm making Corruptors.
Fucking
and
Banes!
more
Yeah, I mean, I want to keep talking about this game, but like, if you keep making shit that sucks, you know, it's like only so much we can say. All right, so leave this game. Let's do I'm really quickly going to give you an example build of what I think you should do against Protoss.
Okay.
Specific for you, it would be very good. All right, just give me party leader now really fast, and then I'll do this up for you really quick. All right. But overall, like, and there's definitely a lot of potential there. I do think you have the capability, 100%. I think you have the capabilities to replicate the build I'm going to show you right now. My God. There we go. Good. I still got it. I hit the wrong button, but we're still good. Okay. So again, feel free to ask questions while we're doing this. We're all G. And yeah, the build again that I'm going to show you basically is going to be, I'm going to show you a Ling opener like you had, because it's super standard and it will help versus weird Protosses who do weird aggressive stuff. Speedling opener into Roaches, into potentially Roach-Ravager if you need to, if you're getting all in, into then if you're not getting all in. Either way, once the all in's over, if you defend it or whatever, you're always going to switch then into Hydra Lurker. And once you go Hydra Lurker, you stop making Roaches because gas, and you just go back into Zerglings with excess. And then at that point, that's your in-game. You just control.
Okay, and upgrade-wise, I'm still getting melee and range attack, right?
Upgrade-wise, this is actually what I want you to do. I just want you to go, if you're going to go Lurker style, and you're going to go heavy Lurker style, I actually want you to go for level 3 weapon Lurkers. Level 3 weapon range, and then once you're done with that, then start getting melee upgrades. So your Lings are just going to be a buffer. We're not really going to base your builds off of mass Zergling counterattacks, because that's advanced, and also that, you know, if you're going to do Lurker pressures, it's better to commit to that. So it's we'll commit really hard to range weapons and then go melee weapons. So if the game hasn't ended yet, it then later on gives you power to go into melee, like Ling run-bys. Once, because that stage, that's when the Protoss will be like, I'm going to expand around your Lurkers. That's when your Lurker upgrade will be maxed anyways. And if you control, most of your games will end around 15 minutes. Or 15 minutes or less.
So if I'm not getting all in, there's no need to make Ravagers at all.
No. Nope. You do not have, like, I don't want you to get into this mindset where it's like, I need Ravagers every time. No, you don't. Like, you only need it.
What if I get to the, so he always does this, like, 3-base Colossus attack?
You'll have Lurkers
right?
by then.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because you're not fucking around. You're not
like,
wasting too much time.
Okay. Yeah, my question was going to be if I don't have the Lurker den out and I'm on Roach Hydra, does it make sense to make Ravagers at that point, or just...
It would definitely not. Because the thing is if you ever were like, fuck, I have to make Roach Hydra against Colossus, I would ask you, how the hell do you not have Lurkers yet? Like, what? I would look at your build and be like, what the fuck is going on? Your build is super late.
So I'm behind already at some point if that's the case.
Yep.
Okay.
Because no one's going to do if he were to do like one Colossus with no range and just attack you with that, you would easily run him over with just Roaches. That would 100% happen. But what most Protosses are going to do is they're going to wait for 3 or 4 Colossus with range and then attack. And if you don't have Lurkers by then, that is so late that, yeah, your build definitely... this build right here will fix that problem for you if you just replicate it.
And this is third B4, 31 third B4 speed?
I took speed. I still took speed this game right now.
Speed first, okay.
Yeah, well, I only told you to do that last game because you went Forge. Just honestly, we can if you see a Forge, you can do shit that's greedy. But if you don't see a Forge and you see a standard looking Protoss, just get speed. Yeah. Because it will keep you safe from people who do really aggressive, weird 1-base shit. Or like 1.5 base shit where they stop making probes in natural at like 8 probes because they're going to go for like 5 gates and a prism and just all in you. It does happen sometimes. So, yeah, like speed helps you have options there if that's how he plays in that particular game. So we're going to go up to like 4 queens. We're going to saturate our bases. We're going to wait on our... Like, this is very similar to a ZvT opener, by the way. Once our natural is like fully saturated, we can go into our Roach run, which is like pretty much like right now. And our gas is also being saturated once our natural is also fully saturated. And we're just spreading creep. You can make a 4th queen. So your 3rd queen can like make a tumor and then go become an injector. Your 4th queen will just stay on inject duty or on creep duty all game. But now we can take our layer. And if you get attacked or if you scout something that looks like I need lings, like he looks like he's going to be aggressive, you can make lings. If you don't scout something that looks aggressive, skip lings. Even though you have, like, so if he makes adepts, make like 8 lings and kill the adepts or like the 2 adepts, or you know what I'm saying? But if he makes like a stalker or a fucking sentry first, don't even make lings. Just skip it. Because because you have speed.
Did you put 3 drones back on gas after you took the lair? You just built
I put 3
with 1 drone.
I put 3 drones back on gas when I was fully saturated on the natural.
Okay. And then took layer based off of that 1 gas's production.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
I'm spinning my larva first as a priority always.
And then when do you take the next 2 gas?
When I'm fully saturated. I take last 3 gases all together when I'm fully saturated on all my bases.
Okay.
Which is going to be right about now. Okay, and now we can start a Roach speed upgrade. Once your layer's done, I would say just for safety, make like 8 Roaches. Always. As soon as your layer's done and you start Roach speed and your Roach warren's done as well, because they should be finishing roughly similar together, like similarly timed. It's not going to be like 3 minutes difference. It's going to be within 30 seconds of each other. You just make your, make a few Roaches. So just in case he does like some weird adept harass or some shit like that, you're not going to get fucked. And you can take like a 4th base as well right about now. Once you're fully saturated on your gases, all of them, you can then make a few more drones and you can start Evo Chamber and Hydroden. And wherever base, I don't give a shit where you build it, just build it somewhere. And then I would say also make like an Overseer at this point too. But now that you're fully saturated on 3 bases, so again, the Roach Warren, like Roaches you make early, the few of them you make, is going to be before you're fully saturated. You just make a few to be safe. When this is going to be just before you're fully saturated, like probably 50 drones. But once you fully saturate, I want you to make Roaches until you're at like 120 supply. Okay? That way you're not going to fucking die to timings. This is going to give you the option to go, oh, I'm getting all in. Make Ravagers. I'm not getting all in. You can then poke with Roaches if you need to.
Okay.
Now
do you always go range for the Hydra upgrades? You do the range thing versus the speed?
I usually get range first because it's better defensively. Because it'll keep you safer against force fields if you get pushed by sentries at some awkward time. Now you're going to go into an infestation pit and a lurker den at the same time in your main when you can afford it. And then as soon as you have like 120 supply, I want you to make another round of drones. If your opponent has a 3rd base, if your opponent doesn't have a 3rd base, I'm going to let you know right now, you would have already been getting all in. 100%. He would have already been doing some type of an all in to you. So scouting for the 3rd around 5 to 6 minutes is very critical. It's important. That's when you would just keep making Roaches and Ravagers, right? But now if you see a 3rd, you saturate your 4th, get it to like 84, 85, 86 drones, whatever, and go into a hive, go into Hydras, go into Lurkers as soon as you can, and keep spreading your creep at this point and go from there. This is when you go into Lurker style.
Okay, at this point, if you haven't if it's a macro game, you haven't been all in yet, I'm not building Roaches anymore.
No, you're done. You're done. You're literally done now. Once you get to that 120 supply, if you're not getting all in, you never make Roaches again, ever. Because now you're going into Hydras and you're going for a better comp, which is Hydra Lurker, and then once you have a good Hydra Lurker count but no gas, Lings. And you right now too, if you wanted to, if you ever saw weakness out of him, like if you're like, well, I could totally fuck him up right now because of whatever reason, I don't mind if you attack right now. I would say try not to get your whole army killed, because this isn't your actual, like power point here in this game. There's definitely more points that you can be more powerful than this. But you could poke him because you have speed Roaches, and these speed Roaches are the reason why it was okay is because these speed Roaches become shittier and shittier and shittier every second that goes by. They are not going to be something that's going to be good in your 200 supply army. So let's just say, the last thing I'll say here that will hopefully make a lot of sense here. Let's just say you're getting ready to go into lurkers now. You're maxed out, just like I am, but you can't make lurkers yet. You've started all of your upgrades. You're fucking cranking here, but you're like, I got a lot of supply and roaches. Sacrifice them. Go do something with them, but don't sacrifice your whole army to do it. So if you saw a moment to attack him with Roach and Hydra earlier, that would have been okay. But if you are at this point now where nothing has happened, sack the roaches, do damage that you can, and when they die, rebuild into Lurkerling. And this way you're not going to have to rebuild a whole Hydra army because you're trying to get rid of roaches. Okay. So I'm just going to let the roaches die right now. And then now as they die, it's literally lurker, 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 lurker. And it's like, okay, we don't have any more gas. Lings. And at this stage too, once you're really getting set up to be like, all right, we're about ready to go attack. I think I'm, my supply. My supply is good. My lurker upgrades are basically done at Hive Tech. My Hydra upgrades are done. I'm looking, pretty solid here. This is when I would say, okay, go ahead and throw down some static D because you're about ready to go attack. Throw it down at all your outer bases, like a good amount. Throw some static D down at like your inner bases. And you could do something also, once you have all your static D done, you could remake a fuckload of drones to replace what you just used. Just a round of drones. Like maybe, like if you think you made like 30 static D structures, make 30 fucking drones. Just try to go back, like we made 92, so we're gonna use a little bit more to make more static D in a second here. But just stay in like the 80 to 90 range. Okay? Try to maintain that.
Is it appropriate to send the one lurker in the outer bases now, or?
Yeah, you totally could. You have to stop selecting an army though to do this properly. This is when you're gonna need to use control groups, because if you select an army and you go up burrow, it's gonna grab them all from the bases and the sides. So you have to stop using select army at this point.
Yeah, I when I control individual units, I usually just, where it kills me most is doing it for scouting, because
Sure.
I leave lings there unless they're burrowed. Like I just pull them back right back. So as soon as I see anything, so
yeah. And then at this stage too, if you ever find yourself in this position, okay, where it's the same exact concept with roaches. If you ever see a gas bank that you can work with, and you're like, well, I got a good amount of lurkers. I have 15 lurkers. Like 15 is solid, okay? Like anywhere between like 12 and 16 is a great amount of lurkers. Do not go above that. Don't make like 30 lurkers. That's a bit excessive. And don't have only like 6 or something. Around 15, 14, 13, 16, that's perfect. But now, if you ever find yourself in a position like this where you have a lot of lings now, and hold on. You have a lot of lings, and you're like, oh, I don't want to use these in my main army, because again, it's weakening your death ball. What you can do is get rid of them. Go try to do a run-by. Go kill some probes or something. Remake Hydra. Because if you're going to do lurker run-bys like this, it's most powerful with pure Hydra lurker. So one thing I noticed you keep doing is you keep making compositions that are like partly powerful and partly a piece of shit. You know what I mean? Like it's, oh, you got some, you got lurkers and banes. You got like the Hydra, and then you got zerglings and shit in here. Like, don't use shitty units in a death ball. Use shitty units for what they're designed for, to harass around the base, around the map. Their purpose is not power and major armies. So, when you play like this, okay? So if you have lings in your army and you have enough gas to make more Hydras, make more Hydras. But if you're starved on gas and you just don't have any, then it's okay that it would be part of your army. But almost always what your lings should be at this stage is counterattack, not actually army pushing things. Because all that's going to happen is you're going to be like, oh, I'm pushing with my lurkers and my lings ran in and died. That's going to happen every time. You're going to be like, well, lings really suck ass. Like, it's like 30 supply and they didn't do anything.
Does this style destroy Storm too?
Yes, because lurkers outrange Templar.
Okay, so they have to.
So see how I'm moving them right here? This is what you should do. Literally, all you got to do is up burrow the back. Like this, you green box it. You don't up burrow everything. You just green box, up burrow the back. You run on top of the front of the lurkers, and you hit burrow. And they will spread themselves out in the front. Up burrow the back, run on top of lurkers, hit burrow. Up burrow, run over the top of lurkers, hit burrow. If they go back like that sometimes, it's okay. If they get stupid like this, it's annoying, but it won't happen usually. Up burrow the back, run forward, hit burrow. Up burrow the back, hit forward, burrow. and you will watch Protosses always get steamrolled backwards. And if they just go, fuck it, I'm pushing that. As soon as they push it, you go like this. Right click one side of your lurkers with all your hydras. Green box your hydras. Right click the other side. When you green box, you try to get like half. And now you've just concaved your hydras in a very easy way. So now you're not going to walk your hydras all like this on the center of them and get AoE'd by fucking storms and stuff. So you
wait, can you say that again?
I'll say it again. So hydras, even if you have all armies selected, right at this point, lurkers won't move because they're burrowed. But ideally, you select hydras, you move to one side of the lurker, and while they're moving, you green box half of them and move to the other side. So move all, green box half, move other side.
So you're just splitting them.
Yes.
Okay.
And then you can A move now because they're in a concave. So
I thought for a second you said that you're directing the lurker's attack. I don't know.
No. Don't ever do that. Okay. Like that is actually
it's just splitting.
That's it. Lurker. The only micro you gotta do with lurker is leapfrog. That's it. Lurker focus fire is very effective, but don't worry about that right now. Again, you're complicating shit if you think that way. Just let them just do whatever they want to do. AI fucking own everything. Good, go for it.
Okay.
Just do this with lurker. That's all you gotta do. Burrow. 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 Obviously be a little bit more patient with it if he's actually fighting you. Don't just keep running into him like this. If he's going to take the fight, stop rotating your lurker. But when his army is sitting really far back, you can then shove lurker like that again to keep capitalizing on ground. As soon as he fights though, stop microing the lurker and then do the hydra thing. Split, some up, some down, and then fight it. But that's it. That's all it is.
Cool.
And you repeat this process, and the whole point is you don't let him have a fourth base.
I will study this build.
And keep in mind too, that game we're doing every step of the way we went that game. We even supply blocked at one point in that game for a little while because I was talking to you and I was like, fuck, I didn't build overlords. But we still maxed at like 8:30. It's fucking fast. 8:30.
The only thing I might do slightly differently is I might just add a macro hatch because I don't inject all the time. So
if you were about to say the only thing I might do differently is make a baneling nest, I was about to just turn the fucking in the call and be like, this guy is hopeless.
I will not make.
I'm just joking, dude. But yeah, you can totally make a macro hatch if you want to. That's fine. The perfect time to make a macro hatch would be when you're making roaches up to 120 supply, if that's what you want to do, because that's when you have enough money to afford it. You should never.
Okay, I usually do it when I take a fourth. That's
okay,
like
perfect.
How I remember it.
Okay, good. That's fine. All right, so good shit, man. Yeah, save that replay and use it. And yeah, I think you're gonna have so much more success if you just stick to a style and you get good at it. And you stop because I think your biggest problem is like you're trying to solve 2 + 2 with fucking like calculus here.
Well, he plays weird, so like I'm like trying to play weird to compensate.
You can't play weird though if you don't have any money, and you will literally starve him out. Like, cause you're letting him play weird because you're like, he's got 6 base economy, 85 probes versus my 65 drones. So yes, of course you can make like tons of tech switches because you can afford everything he wants. But if you limit his income, he's gonna be like, I have no money. If I throw down some Stargates right now, I'm literally not making units then, and I'm gonna die because I just can't afford units. So you will limit his choices if you limit his money, and limiting his money is the whole point of this build.
Can I pretty much do this build? Because when I try to practice on ladder, he doesn't like Protosses don't play like him. So like I always
you can do it versus
you
can do it versus every kind of Protoss except for Stargate Protoss. Against Stargate Protoss, you could still do it versus Stargate Protoss, but maybe go light on the lurkers against Stargate people and go heavier on Hydra. Just for now, I would, and again, I would say Spire is even better against Stargate, but again, we're starting to complicate shit again, right? For now, just say fuck the Spire and just go Hydra Lurker. If it's Stargate, like if it's really heavy Stargate, maybe go up to 8 lurkers and stop. If it's ground styles, go up to 16 lurkers and stop.
Okay.
All right, man.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.
No problem, dude. I hope it helps. I hope you start having a lot of success and you feel like, wow, my friend doesn't know how to deal with this, and I keep kicking his ass.
Yeah, I'm assuming he'll make some time to transition, and if I have trouble with that, I'll reach back out.
All right, sounds good, man.
I'll report back.
All right. Well, good luck. Thank you for doing another lesson, and dude, just thank you very much for all the support in general that you continue to get, like give the stream and stuff. So
Appreciate you, man. This game is hard, and you uncomplicate shit. So
hell yeah.
I appreciate that.
All right. Have a good day, man. Thank you.
Cool. Take care.
All right. See you, dude.
Peace, Bob.
All right, guys. That has been another coaching lesson with our boy Fruit Seller. Yeah, Lurker styles, guys. How to control Protoss with the Lurker style. It's a very versatile composition that can deal with most things most Protosses will do. Yeah. But yeah, guys, thank you very much for watching. If you guys enjoyed it, go check out more of the content we've put on YouTube already. There's tons of it. So until next time, I'll see you guys. I'll see you then. Have a good one. Peace, everybody. Take it easy. Much love.